Hey guys, welcome back to Short Times. Today, we're revisiting the nail-biting suspense movie, A Quiet Place. This film was a critical and commercial success when it was released in 2008. With a unique concept and edge-of-your-seat moments, it's a must-watch for anyone who loves a good thriller. So, let's jump into our recap of this heart-pumping movie. The film takes place 89 days after a catastrophic event that saw the Earth being invaded by aliens. These aliens have a very acute sense of hearing and hunt down anything that makes a noise. The Abbott family, consisting of the parents, Lee and Evelyn, and their 3 children, Regan, Marcus, and Bo, live in a world where silence is the key to survival. They venture into a deserted town to search for supplies and communicate only through sign language, so as not to make any noise. One day, while they're in the town, Marcus falls ill and Evelyn manages to find medicine to help him recover. Meanwhile, Bo comes across a toy rocket and becomes fascinated by it, but Lee removes the batteries and warns him that it would be too noisy to play with. But he secretly takes the batteries. As the family is about to leave the town, they hear a sound that alerts them to the presence of the aliens. In a race against time, they must make their way back home while being pursued by the blind but deadly alien. Along the way, they face various challenges and obstacles, and Lee must make difficult decisions to protect his family. Unfortunately, while walking back home along a dirt path, Bo puts the batteries back into the toy rocket and turns it on, making loud noises. Lee rushes to save Bo, but an alien snatches him before Lee can reach him. This sudden and unexpected attack is a devastating blow to the family. Lee, Evelyn, Marcus, and Regan are filled with grief and sorrow over the loss of Bo. It has been over a year since the alien invasion, and the Abbott family is still managing to survive in this dangerous world. Lee has been working on developing a hearing aid for Regan, who is deaf, but so far, all his efforts have been in vain. Meanwhile, Evelyn is pregnant with their 4th child, adding to the challenges of trying to stay safe in a world where noise can be deadly. We see the Abbott family enjoying a rare moment of peace and relaxation. The kids are playing Monopoly, a board game that allows them to forget about the dangers of their surroundings and just have fun. However, this peaceful moment is disrupted when Marcus accidentally knocks over a lantern and creates a small fire. Lee, who is always on high alert, quickly extinguishes the fire, and the family waits anxiously to see if the noise has attracted any of the dangerous alien. Fortunately, the alien never come, and the family continue their peaceful evening. Later on, Lee and Evelyn listen to a song on a device and share a dance. The following day, Lee decides to take Marcus fishing at the falls despite the danger. Regan offers to come along, but Lee insists that she stay behind and help her mother. There is a clear sense of tension between Lee and Regan. At the falls, Lee tries to reassure Marcus that it is safe to talk there since the sound of the river is louder than any noise they could make. They finally have a chance to have a conversation without having to use sign language. During their talk, Marcus opens up to Lee and tells him that Regan blames herself for what happened to Bo. Marcus asks Lee if he feels the same way, but Lee denies it. Marcus then asks Lee if he loves Regan, to which Lee responded affirmatively. Marcus suggests that Lee should tell Regan how he feels, as it would make her feel better. While at home, Regan decides to leave and visit the memorial they created for Bo at the bridge. She takes apart the toy rocket that caused Bo's death and removes the batteries to silence it, but keeps the lights on. As Lee and Marcus make their way back home, they come across a man standing beside the mutilated body of a woman who might have been his spouse. Lee tries to signal to the man to stay quiet, but the man's emotions get the better of him and he lets out a loud scream. This scream attracts the attention of one of the aliens. Lee and Marcus quickly take cover as the man is killed by the alien. As the story continues, Evelyn's water breaks and she heads to the basement of their home. Unfortunately, she steps on an exposed nail on the stairs and impales her foot, but she manages to control her urge to scream. However, the sound of the picture frames dropping draws the attention of one of the aliens. To signal to her family that there is danger, Evelyn turns on the red light bulbs that are placed around their property. She searches for a kitchen timer to distract the alien and make a run for it. The alien slowly makes its way down the stairs, listening intently for any signs of life. When the timer goes off, the alien attacks it while Evelyn runs back upstairs. When she reaches the upper floor, she sees another alien outside and decides to hide in the bathroom. As she begins to give birth, the alien comes upstairs. Lee returns home and sees the red warning lights turned on, which is a clear indication of danger. He signs the word rocket to his son Marcus and asks him to make a loud noise to distract the alien. He quickly grabs his shotgun and Marcus rushes to the designated area, where he lights a fuse that sets off a series of fireworks. Meanwhile, Lee starts searching the house and enters the bathroom where he sees an empty bathtub filled with his wife Evelyn's blood. He believes that she has been killed, but to his surprise, he finds her safe and hiding in the shower with their new baby boy. However, Marcus has run into trouble. He is walking back home when he hears an alien. In a desperate attempt to escape, he runs into a cornfield but ends up knocking himself unconscious after running into a tractor wheel. Regan arrives home and sees the beam of Marcus' flashlight shining from the cornfield. However, she doesn't hear the alien that is closing in on her. Suddenly, her cochlear implant starts producing a loud and high-pitched feedback that disrupts the alien and causes it to flee. Regan rushes over to find Marcus, and the two of them take refuge on the top of the grain silo. Meanwhile, Lee has taken Evelyn to the basement and put their newborn son in a special crib that is soundproof. Evelyn reflects on the loss of Beau and expresses her regret that she didn't carry him with her that day. She then asks Lee to promise to protect their children and keep them safe before falling asleep. Later, Evelyn wakes up to find that the basement has flooded and an alien has entered the room where the baby is sleeping. Despite the danger, Evelyn bravely picks up her baby and hides behind the waterfall in the back of the basement to keep the both of them safe. Regan and Marcus are on top of the grain silo. Marcus tells Regan not to worry and says their father will come to save them, but Regan shakes her head and says that their father will only come from Marcus. Suddenly, a hatch on the top of the silo breaks and Marcus falls inside the grain. At the same time, the alien in the flooded cellar with Evelyn is drawn to the noise. Regan jumps into the silo and saves her brother by pushing the hatch towards him. However, she herself begins to sink into the grain, but Marcus pulls her out to safety. They both sit on top of the silo door, but then they hear a crash on top of the silo. The alien from the flooded cellar jumps into the silo, but Regan's cochlear implant processor produces a high-pitched feedback, which causes the alien to crash out of the side of the silo, saving Regan and Marcus. Regan and Marcus finally escape the silo and climb into a pickup truck. Their father, Lee, arrives at the scene, grabs an axe, and prepares to face the alien. However, he is quickly overpowered by the alien, and Marcus screams in terror. This causes the alien to redirect its attention to the truck, and it starts to tear it open. Regan's cochlear implant processor begins to emit a piercing feedback, but she quickly turns it off. This allows the alien to continue its attack on the truck. Despite being badly injured, Lee makes eye contact with Regan and signs the words "I love you. I have always loved you." With a final yell, he sacrifices himself to save his children. Regan and Marcus manage to put the truck in neutral and roll it back to the house, where they are finally reunited with their mother. Evelyn and the kids, after hearing the approaching alien, retreat back to the safety of the basement. Regan, who has never been allowed down there, sees her father's work on her cochlear implant processor for the first time and is deeply moved. As the lights start to flicker, the alien enters the basement and has them cornered. However, Regan notices a note her father had written, asking what is their weakness, and realizes the solution. She switches on her cochlear implant processor, creating a piercing feedback, causing the alien to stumble. Regan amplifies the feedback by holding her processor up against a microphone, causing the alien to collapse. But before it can get back up, Evelyn shoots it with her shotgun. The family sees on the surveillance monitors that this commotion has attracted all the aliens in the area to their home, so Regan cranks up the speakers and Evelyn reloads the shotgun with a confident grin. A Quiet Place is a masterful movie that uses sound to bring the tension to new heights. With top-notch performances from its lead actors, the film is a prime example of how to create a thriller that will keep you on the edge of your seat from beginning to end. If you haven't seen this film yet, we highly recommend it. And for those who have already seen it, it's time for a rewatch. Thanks for tuning into Short Times and join us again next time for another movie recap.